Hi everybody, I'm here reporting on yesterday's 3-1 defeat by Celtic at Hampden. And before I go any further, happy belated Halloween to all of you geysers out there. Although there's a few geysers in the Rangers team right now, but we'll get to that later. What can I say about yesterday's horror show? That's why I'm wearing this mask. It really was a horror show. I don't know where to start. We had some terrible performances. We had a dreadful first half. It was a shocking display in the first half. Some players didn't improve whatsoever. And of course, above all, it was a shocking referee's display. And we'll get back to that later on. I'll take this off just now because I'm roasting in it. So, anyhow, to go back to the game, for a neutral, it must have been a great game because it was end to end stuff, plenty of chances at both ends. Both goalkeepers made good saves, quite a few of them as well. Red card, penalty, controversial refereeing, to say the least. Into extra time, the 10 men managing to get it into extra time. So if you're a neutral, it must have been an enjoyable game to watch, especially after the dreadful nothing each at Ibrox, a month ago, when nothing happened and people were moaning because it was just so boring and nothing was happening. This was the exact opposite. And unfortunately, as usual, Rangers came out the worst of it all. When I think back to the first half, well, listen, before we start, really, I must say right away, Celtic were the better team. They played better. They showed the energy, the determination, the ability to get stuck in, foul when necessary, all that sort of stuff. Long ball game at times, causing havoc in our defence. They did everything they could to win that game, and we didn't. We were the opposite, obviously. So Celtic deserved to win, even if we'd had 11 men the whole game, we would have lost that game. There was no way we were going to win it. By the time Asgard gets sent off, the writing was on the wall. We're a goal down. We should have been a couple more down maybe at that point. Or maybe not. We'll come back to that later. But let's just say Celtic deserved to win. We can't complain about that. We can't complain about the officials and Nick Walsh in particular. I'll get to him later on. Go back to the game. The first 10-15 minutes must be the worst, easily the worst 15-minute spell, especially at the beginning of a game, that I've ever seen a Rangers team endure in an Old Firm game. It wasn't that Celtic were blasting them and, powering over them. We were so terrible, we were so timid, we were panicking, we looked terrified when we got the ball. The worst man in the defence was Giga. How that guy is worth 10 million quid. Well, he's not worth 10 million quid, let's face it. That's just because English teams have got that kind of money to just splurge, and it doesn't matter if they're buying a dud, they'll move him on. They'll probably offer him to us for 5 million, a bargain price, 5 million at the end of the season. I wouldn't take this guy for free. He was shocking. He was terrified every time the ball went up his side. Of course, not helped by the fact that Tavernier was missing most of the time ahead of him. So he was panicking. He couldn't even pass it back 10 yards without making it look dodgy and really difficult. Balls over his head, he was missing them in the air. It was just terrible, shocking. He did a couple of decent tackles in the second half, but it was too late by then. So he should go back to Wolves in January, no doubt about it. Even if we have to pay them to take him back, it would be worth it. So the first 15 minutes, absolutely dreadful. Hardly anybody could pass it to each other. They dominated the game, passing it in our half as well, and it was just dreadful. Having said that, we actually had 4 sitters, and we missed them. Gassama missed one-on-one with the goalie. Chermiti missed 2, and Raskin missed 1-on-1 with the goalie. I think in 2 cases the goalie had to make a save. The other 2, they went past the post. So 4 sitters, and that's us playing badly. And we were 1-0 down at the time. When the first goal, or what we thought was the first goal, arrived, it was no surprise, but it was so shocking the way it happened. Free kick given away. Ref Walsh, of course, allows them to take a quick free kick. We have switched off, maybe that's our fault. So it should never have been allowed. Quick free kick, a couple of touches in the box. Giga just has to boot it away, and he boots it off was it Raskin, I think? He puts it off Raskin's chest and into the net. What a ludicrous goal to give away. And then we're reprieved when VAR shows that, I think it was Maeda, was offside. There was no doubt about it. He was offside. So saved by the bell, if you like. A couple of minutes later, we got up the other end. Good move. Chiamita, just tap it into the net or just flick it into the net. Chip it over the goalkeeper. No, he just hits it past the post. We all jumped up thinking it was in the net and it was past the post. So, despite a poor first half, we did create 4 brilliant chances, didn't take any of them, obviously. And when they did score, it was your Commoner Garden, bog standard, corner kick from the right. Young Kenny runs towards it. There's 3 or 4 Rangers players, around him, but he gets above them all and just flicks it into the net. Great header, terrible defending, but what would we expect? That's what we have come to expect at corners and free kicks in the air. Useless, the 3 tall, so-called strong central defenders, absolutely weak. So now 1-0, then Asgard gets sent off quite correctly. He had the ball, he did a sort of overhead flick to try and keep the move going, and he put his boot into the thigh of fat Tony Ralston, who rolled about in agony, and his shorts were torn, and you could hardly see any blood or anything when he was pointing to it in a close-up, but he made the best of it, so you can't do that. It's a red card. Then when we did get back into it in the second half, we looked much better, still created chances. Gassama missed another one. Well, Scales slid in and tackled him just as he was about to shoot from about 6 yards out. He should have shot earlier and it would have been in the net. So we still had chances, and then when we got the penalty and equalised, that was one of the 2 things Tavernier did correctly. Scored with a penalty. Later on he did a tackle which maybe saved a goal. So 2 things he did in the whole game that he was missing, doing his usual trundling about, etc. So penalty when Fat Tony dived in the path of the ball that was going into the net, and all the claims, his arms were in at his side, what's he supposed to do? Well, he dived that way deliberately to block the ball, so if it hits off his arm, it's a penalty, so don't moan about it. He should have got booked as well, probably. That would have been his second booking. So, 1 each. We had a chance to maybe snatch a goal and hang on, but no, it wasn't to be. Give the team their due. They did manage to get it into extra time, playing with 10 men for the majority of the 90 minutes. So well done getting it into extra time. But we blew it early on. Free shot at goal by Callum McGregor. You don't let that guy shoot from 20 yards right in the middle of the goal. People are blaming Butland for not saving it. I think it swerved at the last second, so I wouldn't blame Butland. He was our best player. The number of saves he made. Him and Mikey Moore, who came on, he actually ran at them, took them on. He had them scared. They were surrounding him, trying to stop him running forward. So well done to him. But second goal, that was it, finished. We really knew it deep down, and it was only a matter of time. Third goal came, ball went from the left. Another young guy, what's his name? I don't know his name. Whatever, he's Osman or something. One of the Osman family, probably. He slid in and put it into the net from close in. We had, I don't know how many defenders just staring, watching it coming across the face of the goal. So terrible goal to lose, but it was done by then anyhow. So they deserve to win. How they did it is the problem, or the annoyance, and I'll get to that now before I run out of time and energy. We had too many guys didn't show up. Tavernier, usual, pathetic. Giga, one of the worst displays I've ever seen from a central defender. Made you long for the days of Ben Davis and Jack Simpson. He was that bad. Suter was probably the best of the defenders. Butland was the best man in the team. Raskin, absolutely pathetic effort. He was just hopeless. No wonder he was hooked. Who else? Diamandi battled away, but not to no avail. Strikers were all rubbish. Danilo pathetic. Chiamiti missing a couple of sitters. Miovski just anonymous, basically. So now we played our part in it, and that we were terrible. But let's come to referee Walsh. We should have hounded him last season after that series of decisions at Tannadice when he sent Diamandi off. VAR told him to go and look. He went and looked, and he upheld his decision. Thankfully, that was at the end of the game. And then 2 weeks later, Willie Collum, that was a mistake. That should never have happened. I expect the same this week or next week from Collum, because the one near the end of the first half, Jack Butland has got the ball in his grasp, against his chest. He's lying prone in the ground. Trust if he frees the frame, he's a yard away, but he just keeps running. He can run past him, he can jump over him, but he can just run past him. And he just decides to stick out his right boot right into his face. Okay, not a great of force in it, but a stud in the eye, that's disastrous. And that guy only got a yellow card. And Nick Walsh did that the whole game. Lenient with them, tough on us. So that guy should be hounded from now on. We never want to see him referee any of our games ever again. He's an absolute joke of a referee and the most anti-Rangers one out there.